everybody. Welcome, Manny
Thank
X, Malcolm Lowe, Richard King. Thank you all for being here. And we're going to talk about the most beautiful piece in the world, the most beautiful piece ever written. Of course, that's my prejudice. I just adore this piece. But anyway, thank you so much. And everybody, we're going to also play some little excerpts of things. Rohanna earlier said to me, she said she thinks of this as a kind of weird rehearsal. And I said, really weird. Yeah. Really, really weird.
Well,
but anyway, it's just a way of talking about the piece and hearing little snippets and so on.
Yeah.
So anyway, what I would love to start with Malcolm and Richard, because both of you must have played this piece a million times, right?
Frequently. But, I'm going to throw it right back to you, Jaime, and to you, Manny, because the way you were talking about this piece before we came on air here was exactly what everyone, all of us as musicians sort of feel about this. And, I think you both have a unique perspective, being maybe a little more objective, not having been in the orchestra doing this as often. I would love to hear more about what you were talking about earlier and what it means to you, this piece.
Well, to me, it is the most beautiful symphony in the world. I adore this piece just so much. And I'll never forget, for instance, the very first time I ever heard it, Richard, it was in Cleveland. It was the Cleveland Orchestra. I was 12 years old. I was studying at that time with Joe Ginkgo there. And I used to go every Saturday night to hear the Cleveland Orchestra. And on this particular weekend, I was given tickets. I was given tickets by the school, the music school settlement. And but this particular weekend, I was given tickets for the Thursday night performance. And I was so shattered when I heard this piece. I remember actually crying in the last moment. I absolutely was bawling. And I remember the next day, I called my teacher and I said, Mr. Gingold, I would love to go again tomorrow night. Do you think you could get me in? Can you get me a ticket? So I got to hear it twice. And that was my introduction to it. And to this day, that's the way I feel about the piece. I find it shattering, And now Malcolm and Richard, I envy you because I've never played the piece. Never. For some reason, Curtis, when we were there, we never played it. And so I've only actually conducted it. And it's such an extraordinary piece of music.
Jaime, if you meet any musicians, maybe you'll get an invitation to sit in on it sometime. I don't know. That would be okay with us.
Oh man, I'd love that. I'd love that. And Manny, you as a pianist,
Yeah. I've never conducted it. I've never played it. I've just been overwhelmed by it a number of times, and I'm so struck by the way it's fascinating to me. For example, that the beginning of the piece is such a hard part for the bassoon. Then when the allegro comes, the violas play the beginning, which is probably hard for them also, right? Being up there. It's certainly harder than for the first violins. And I think that's part of the whole feeling of anxiety, of unease that he's creating, this difficulty for the performers, as well as the atmosphere musically. And I think that does contribute to it. The other thing that strikes me every time I hear it is that it's a piece in B minor, but the first time we actually land on B in the first movement is the end in B major. Until then, we never actually land on a B minor chord or a B major chord. It's always moving. It's always going to the F sharp, you know. We're always stopping. And the exact same thing happens in the last movement. We never land on the B until the very end of the movement. So everything is about anxiety, anxiety, anxiety. Then we get this beautiful second theme in D major. We get the beautiful second theme in B at the end of the first movement. And we get the incredible tragedy in B at the end. And I think this is his way of sustaining and of making you go from the first movement to the last and making an arc. You know, in between, yeah.
Can I just add to one thing? You know,
Yeah.
At the end of the last movement, he
Yeah.
goes so far as to take away our resolution, if it's not even a resolution, in the last dying moments. We get to play that G, and then
Right.
we don't get to play the F sharp.
No F sharp.
So it
yeah.
carries your idea even further.
Right. But I think this is if you look at Beethoven 5, for example, his way of creating tension is to always stop on the G, but very violently. You know, we know exactly where we are. With the Tchaikovsky, I think it's this constant being way back and forth harmonically. And we don't really land, and unfortunately we land in tragedy at the very end. And in between, we have love themes, we have triumph in the third movement. I don't know how you feel about it. I think that it's absolutely appropriate to have an ovation at the end of the third movement.
Well, that was a George Zell thing.
Yeah, and ideally,
He,
in the
the
ideal
orchestra
world,
he always had the orchestra stand up after the third.
And ideally, you'd have no applause at the end of the piece. You know, but of course that's not going to happen. But I think when people get upset that there's applause after the third movement, I think that's just crazy.
Yeah.
You know, you have to. It's impossible not to. Yeah, it's so that's all I wanted to bother you with this piece.
You can bother us all you want. Malcolm, I have a question for you. The very first bar of the last movement, why do you think Tchaikovsky wrote it the way he did? I mean, obviously you have to hear da-dee-da-dee-ba-dee, right? But why did he write it in that way, where he has the F sharp with the first, and then the E with the second, and so on, back and forth?
I know why.
Do you guys ever talk about that?
Annie.
Well, I have an answer to it, but my answer is that he must have wanted the violins to sit opposite each other. It's got to be for the stereo effect, don't you think? He must have seen the orchestras sitting that way and getting that. I've never really heard it where you feel that. I don't know how to get it, but if I were a recording engineer, I would find a way of doing that so that the first two times you really hear this up and down, and the last time you get everything together. And don't you think that's the one piece where you really advertise the fact that they should be sitting first here, seconds here?
I never thought of that.
You disagree, probably.
Malcolm, what do you think?
I don't know. I'm sure that you can find many arguments to support that, just from conductors who like the violin sitting part. I've always felt that it was more just this idea of the difference between the movement in the lines, which creates this tension all the way through, and then finally towards the end it joins in this incredible line together. So when you're playing it as violinists, you like to be sitting together, in fact, for this, so that you can actually really, and
I understand.
And then you realize, of course, that the audience is not going to gain the same benefit, like Manny's pointing out, as though you were sitting on opposite sides of the stage.
Yeah.
So, it's really interesting, that whole compositional effect. It's great.
I'm happy to say that I don't conduct at all, so I have no idea what you should do. But when I didn't know that it was like that until a few years ago when I looked at the score, because I'd never been aware. I'd never heard that.
Well, you shouldn't. You shouldn't.
Oh, you don't think so?
No,
See, I
really
think
don't.
what you should is I feel like you should hear it.
Well,
Anyway,
no, I don't think so. You want to hear da dee da dee ba dee. Yes.
yeah, I don't
You
think
don't want to hear da dee da dee da da. You don't want to hear that.
That's what I think you want to hear. Da ba ba ba, and then the other guys da ba ba. I think you want to hear the tension and the difficulty. But that's just, thank God I don't conduct, so I will never have to deal with it. I'll never have to tell anybody, do it this way or do it that way. So I can
Richard,
just,
you're as a wind player, as a horn player. What do you
listen
think
to
of
records. I'll just sit back, listen to records, and tell everybody what to do.
that?
I remember being at school and hearing it rehearsed that way, and I never knew it was like that. I had never read a score for that purpose either. Never occurred to me. One thing I wanted to say was that what Manny was talking about, the tension and what the instruments have to do and how difficult it might be. It from a mechanical standpoint, from the composer, it's really interesting to me that, in the advanced part of Tchaikovsky's career, when he had incredible command of the emotions of the orchestration, it's really neat to me the way that we're all challenged. I know that there's so many harrowing woodwind excerpts, the violas, in an uncomfortable register and things like that, and that the composer is actually, I guess, feeling comfortable and challenging, just writing what he wants and having faith that it will be done somehow by the musicians. And I think that sometimes we see composers, challenging, dumbing it down a little bit less because they have faith in all the in all the variation that they might do. And Tchaikovsky writes, 3 Fs, 4 Fs, 5 Fs, 3 Ps, 4 Ps, 5 Ps. And we can't actually try to play it that way because, calamity will happen or it will sound ridiculous, but we know what he means. He's really challenging us to do those things. And as far as, how he was able to put his emotions down on paper, it's the most amazing thing that he was able to do that. Just heart-wrenching. And a lot of people's, my own and I think my children's first experience with classical music is going to see the Nutcracker. So this is my first favorite composer was Tchaikovsky because then it took me to the library to get all the other records of his other pieces, and certainly this was one of them when I was a child. It's just amazing at what he was able to accomplish.
Can I ask Malcolm about a couple of dynamic things in the, when the second theme comes, right? It's very specific that he marks diminuendo and then crescendo, right? There's always that crescendo on the second note of the second phrase. So do you make a point of that? Because I wondered about it. I think it's so hysterical, as opposed to being normally ta da 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 ta da 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 da. It's rather ta da 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 da, kind of crazy. And because my experience with it for the first time was also in Cleveland, as it happened. I heard Lauren Mazel conduct it, and it was very big range, and he made such a point of those crescendos to the rest. And I wondered if that's something that you've experienced with a lot of conductors.
Yes, to more or less degrees, but from a technical point of view, from our standpoint, we frequently just violinistically or on the cello or
Right.
anything, we would make a crescendo like that on an up bow, for example.
Uh-huh.
I find it really interesting, the dynamic range in that the first time that that comes
Mm-hmm.
is a certain way, and it
Right.
has actually a printed bowing, which ends up being down bow on this crescendo, which is harder to do.
Uh-huh.
The
Uh-huh.
second time, when we go much further with the dynamics, there's
Right.
actually an up bow, right?
He
So I
marked
think
that.
yes. So I think there are some intricacies that Russian orchestras sort of inhabit this world of Tchaikovsky that we aren't privy to always. And that is such a dramatic crescendo, as you point out, in a phrase, to have that end, the silence after that moment, right? The drop off in the dynamic creates as much as the crescendo
Yeah.
itself.
It's so crazy. It becomes so breathless because instead, like you can't da 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 da, it's kind of like that. And so, but incredibly expressive, I find. I mean, all those, it's very, very powerful and makes it more powerful than it would be simply the tune. I mean, the dynamics go with it, I think. So I just was, anyway.
Well, it would be lovely now if we could get a lot of the kids involved in this. So why don't we kind of go through and instead of doing little excerpts of, violins first and viola second and so on in that order, let's do it in the order of the piece. So how about to do let's start with the bassoon. So let's just hear the opening, okay?
Hello.
Hi, Sarian.
Hi, Mr. Laredo.
So you take it away, okay? Very good. Now, could you do me a favor, Sarian? Could you try it again, but really exaggerate the little swells? It sounds a little bit too much on one level the way you're doing it right now. Just go more to the G, back away to the F sharp, and then also make the difference that the first one is pianissimo, then the next one is piano, and then mezzo piano. So try and bring that out a little bit more, okay? Good, good, very good. And now, let's hear the viola from bar 19, okay? Hi, Katie.
Hi, how are you?
Okay.
Okay, turn up my.
So let's hear that whole next bit, okay?
Sure, yeah. And this is just till the end of the second page?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Bravo, you're hired. Terrific, really, really terrific. I would, I think of this a little bit. I lean more on the non troppo than on the allegro part. For me, it's a little bit fast the way the tempo you're doing it. Try it just a hair slower. Yo papi, dio papa, yo papa, yo papa, yo papa. Good. And Katie, it also exaggerate a little bit more the it should sound a little bit more anxious.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Go ahead. It's good. Yeah, and whenever you have this figure, don't make it diminuendo because the line continues. You know, the next line. So actually think of giving it to the next line. So on.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to just try that?
Yeah, sure.
Good. Good.
Jaime, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Are the metronome marks in the score Tchaikovsky or not? Do you happen to know?
I have always presumed they were, but I'm not sure. Malcolm, Richard, do you know for sure?
Oh, Malcolm is muted. So there you go.
Sure. Not sure, Jaime, actually.
Yeah.
I was just curious because I was trying to check it with a couple of recordings, and I was interested. That's all. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I have to confess that to me, metronome markings is, it's just a guide. I'd never really think of, oh my God, I must do the metronome marking, because I've learned from working with some pretty great composers, especially some of the old guys, that very often what they wrote was not what they wrote in, had nothing to do.
I was just curious about it because sometimes what's interesting is sometimes not the actual speed maybe, but the relationships between one tempo and another tempo. Like how much difference there is between the poco meno allegro or the poco più animato, or
I think that's more important.
Yeah, I was just curious about that.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, sorry to interrupt. Pardon me.
Anyway, Katie, that was great. Bravo.
Yeah.
Bravo.
Sorry.
Bravo. Let's see. What's the next thing? How about let's get the fiddle. Let's go from 89. Okay.
Huh.
Now, who is playing? I forgot.
Hi, I'm
Charlotte. It's Charlotte. It's you.
Charlotte.
Hi.
Hello.
Manny, Richard, I don't know if you realize that Charlotte is in Finland.
Wow, really?
Yes.
Yeah. Mhm.
Have you seen Mackenzie Melamed?
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay, just curious. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Okay, fine. No, he's a wonderful young pianist and somebody I know who's now in Helsinki. That's all.
Okay.
It's fine.
Okay, cool.
Hey, Jaime, I think Charlotte is maybe going to start just where the viola left off for her first go.
Great. Oh, great. That, of course.
Is that all right?
Much better. And then we'll do that.
Then she can connect to the next theme.
Terrific. Great.
Okay, cool.
Bravo. That was great. Really good.
Yeah.
That's hard. That's really hard. I would love to hear some of that again. When you get to this saltando part, I think it could be a little bit even lighter and more and more. First of all, as soft as possible.
Yeah.
Just like, think of Nutcracker, that kind of just ballet dancing.
Okay.
Okay. Let's start again from the beginning. Okay. Yeah, can you make sure to hold that out all the way? I would even I always ask the fiddles to almost think a little crescendo there.
Okay.
Yeah, good. Charlotte, I hear a little da 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 pop pop. Those are louder than the early ones. It should be just as just very, very, very even. Okay.
Can I ask Malcolm a question? When you do that spot, should you be at the tip, in the middle, or at the frog? The da-da-da-pa-beep-ba-da-da. I'm just wondering. You're muted again.
Closer to the tip than other places, just for what Jaime was talking about being the lightness.
Yeah.
However, makes it harder to play and harder to keep the bow closer to the string while you do it, which is that's what we need, closer to the string and really gentle and soft.
Sorry to interrupt.
Easy.
I just wanted to.
Easier said
No,
than
and
done.
it makes it much harder to control at the tip, but that's the way it should be. And you're doing great. Just try that one more time and keep going. Okay.
Okay.
Right there.
Okay, cool. No.
Good. Very good. Very good. Malcolm, I have a question for you. You know that horrible bit with the dee-da-dee-da-dee-da-dee-da-dum? Have you always done it on one string, or have you ever considered doing it on two strings?
Actually, we almost always do it on two strings.
Okay.
It's something we didn't get to the other in our little meetings before, but actually we do it on two strings normally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever do it on three strings or?
That's like when I ask my students to play a 5-octave scale, Manny, and there is a way to do it. There is a way to do it if you play harmonics, but
I'm just being silly. Don't mind me. It's right.
So Charlotte, can we go on now from 89?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Very good. I always think at the beginning, this is the first time this incredible melody is introduced, and I, don't give it away. Don't give, don't give too much. I think this is it's such a noble sounding melody, and I think that especially this first time, it shouldn't be schmaltzy. You know what I mean? Just very noble and very sustained. Not not too much vibrato. That's going to come later.
Yeah.
Then you're going to soar and play your heart out. But this first time, just try it again. Just a little bit more reserved.
Yeah.
Good. Charlotte, try one more thing. Try to really keep your vibrato very constant. So there are no dead notes. Okay? So that will make it sound more legato and more sustained. That's one thing I love this. Feel that it carries through, play through the rest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go to the, don't let up at all there.
Yeah.
Just try that one more time. Just right there. From da da da. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to hear more retard in those last two bars.
Okay.
I hardly hear anything. Should be a little
Yeah.
bit more. Okay,
Mhm.
Malcolm, any comments?
No, no, good. You know, when we're working like this, it's extremely difficult, as I'm sure everybody realizes, to tell actually with the dynamic and the
Oh, I
everything
know.
going in and out, and the lack of synchronization of the video and the sounds really hard. Bravo, Charlotte.
Yes.
What we hear here is that some of your diminuendos aren't, they don't, but I don't know, you may be doing them and there may be some compensation going on by Zoom. I don't know.
Okay. I think I'm doing them, but it also could, like, I can always do more. Or
Why don't you try just the beginning again, and just the first bar of A, the third bar of the melody, you know, just let it rest a little bit, because the next time you have this crescendo, right?
Yeah.
And so this is maybe the spot to have that tenor mamante.
Yeah. Okay.
Good. Bravo. Bravo.
Thank you.
So why don't we go on now to let's hear a little bit of the beginning of the second movement. Give the cellos a chance to play now. Thank you, Charlotte.
Thank you.
I think Ben is playing cello, right? Yes.
Yes.
Good, good. Yeah, you know what I would love to hear more of? I would love to hear con grazia, with grace. It sounds a little bit kind of heavy, and I don't feel like it's a dance. And to me, it's a dance. Just try and feel this wonderful kind of lopsided. You know, why does he write this in 5? Right? It's so great, and it has to have.
He stole it from Dave Brubeck. Just saying.
But it's, you know, it's such a wonderful. Just dance more, okay? Yeah, and try Ben. Again, it's very hard for me to hear because maybe you're doing it, but it's not coming through. You are connecting the G to the A. I hear he writes these little slurs, right? So try and bring that out.
So Jamie, it's always 2 and 3, right?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Always 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I mean, later on, there are different things that happen that are going on, and but generally, yes, it's 2,
Yeah.
3,
Okay.
2, 3.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And I know how awful and how hard that yeah, but you shouldn't worry about it. Don't just forget that it's hard and just go for it. You want to go to the top. All right, good, good. And now that we've heard the cello, let's hear the bass. And I think that Zachary, I believe, is playing, correct?
Hey, how's it going?
Hi. And you're doing third movement, right?
That's right.
Before,
Okay.
I just wanted to say, everybody who is going to play this piece needs to go on YouTube or someplace and hear Arkady Volodos, fabulous Russian pianist, who plays the third movement all by himself in a piano transcription. It sounds like 3 people. You've got to hear this. All the kids have to get this. Arkady Volodos. I'm just mentioning it. Okay? Sorry to interrupt.
Very good. Bravo. Very, very good. Terrific. All right, you're done. Now, the one thing we didn't do in the first movement, one of the most beautiful things of all, is the clarinet. We gotta do that. Silvio, I
Hello.
think you're playing, right?
My name is Hank, but I know that Silvio's a clarinetist as well.
Oh, sorry. I thought that it was Silvio that was playing. Sorry, Hank. I didn't.
Sorry. No, you're fine.
Okay,
The first one or the second one?
do the first one, okay? Very good. Beautiful. Beautiful. Really beautiful. The most difficult thing to me about playing this is the very end. I know that it's tempting to disappear, to go down to nothing, but then you make your colleague look really bad because he or she is going to come in twice as loud as you, and they're supposed to play softer than you. So think of that when you end. Just think that it's not your end, that they are going to end it. So don't totally disappear.
Sure.
Richard, is there a way of doing anything about that?
Well, we talked the other day about being a good colleague, didn't we, Hank?
We did.
Basically, you got to hook a brother up. Whoever you're sitting next to. I know it. Like Jamie just said, it's so tempting to make an unbelievable diminuendo, and clarinetists can play down to absolutely nothing. And we spend a lot of our time back in the wind section asking favors. And one of the favors we often ask the clarinets is, just give us a tiny bit more sound so we can blend with you and match you. That's all.
Sure.
No, there's no trick to it.
Okay.
Sounds
I
beautiful,
thought maybe there's some trick.
Not that I know, but it sounds beautiful, Hank. Way to go.
Yeah. Hank, how about the one in the third movement?
Sure.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Bravo. Good. Very good. Thank you guys, all of you. You played, all sounded terrific. So we still have a couple of minutes. And anything any of you guys have to add about this incredible piece? Malcolm, I am always in the end of the piece, I'm always shattered. It's just like I feel that these cello, grunts, that they should be very angry. To me, it's someone who's dying, but doesn't really want to die, and he's angry about it. This is what I hear in my mind. What is it like for you to just sit there?
It is shattering, like you said, to you. It's really devastating, and this, some of the main themes in the last movement are really just you can't describe what it's like on stage to go through this whole piece and then experience this last movement. And it's in sharp contrast, in a sense, to some Mahler symphonies, for example, that take a long time to unfold. And in this case, you are soaked in this death experience almost immediately, in the last movement, not even in the first movement. And we were talking or mentioning earlier about hearing performances. It's really interesting about the bass part to me because of Kusevitsky and the Boston Symphony, and how hard we always worked on the sound, literally the sound of the first note of the piece, and then the end with the bass. And that comes out of just the tradition that was handed down and the importance of that from Kusevitsky. And that color of darkness and just in total depths of emotions is really a cycle from the beginning to the end of the piece. And I couldn't agree with you more about that devastating, gasping cello thing. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. What can one say? I don't know of any piece that ends like this. It's just It's extraordinary. Anyway, thank you guys so much for doing this.
Sure.
And
Thank
It's-
you.
It's great, Malcolm. It's great to see you. Richard, it's great to see you. And
as well.
Jamie, of course, it's great to see you.
it's great to see all of you. Anyway, we shall see each other soon. Yes?
Yeah. Bravo to everyone.
Okay. Bye.
Bravo.
Yes,
Bye.
bravo, all the kids. Thank you.
Yeah, really well
Kids
done.
were great.